Hello and welcome back. It doesn't begin with a diagnosis. It begins quietly. A slow kind of tiredness you can't explain. A strange hunger that shows up too soon. A mood that shifts without reason. You wake up in the morning thinking you're fine. Not great, but fine. You reach for something quick. Something easy. Tea, toast, maybe something sweet. And within minutes, something inside your body has already changed. You just don't feel it yet. By late morning, your energy dips. By afternoon, your focus slips through your fingers. By evening, you're craving something sweet, like your body is asking for help. And at night, there's that quiet voice. Why can't I control myself? But what if control was never the problem? What if your body was simply following a pattern you were never taught to see? This is where the story really begins. Not with you, but with a woman named Jessie Inchauspé, a biochemist, someone who didn't just look at food as calories or healthy versus unhealthy. She looked at what food actually does inside the human body. At one point, even she wasn't feeling her best. Energy fluctuations, cravings, unpredictable moods. So instead of guessing, she started measuring, using a device that tracked her blood sugar every minute. She began to see something most of us never see. A curve, a wave, rising, falling, again and again. This curve had a name, glucose, and what she discovered was simple, but powerful enough to change millions of lives. It's not just what you eat, it's how your body reacts to what you eat. She wrote about it in a book called Glucose Revolution, but the book isn't really about food. It's about understanding your body in a way that finally makes life feel easier. So let's come back to someone like you. Let's call her Zara. Zara is not unhealthy. She's not careless. She's just living normally. Her mornings begin fast. A quick breakfast. Something sweet, maybe. Something that feels like energy. But what Zara doesn't see is what's happening inside her body. The moment she eats, her body breaks that food down into glucose. Glucose enters her bloodstream, and her body releases insulin to manage it. Now here's where everything changes. If that glucose rises slowly, her body stays calm. Energy flows smoothly. Her mind stays clear. But if it rises quickly, it creates a spike, a sharp, sudden increase. And then comes a crash. That crash is what she feels as that sudden tiredness, that brain fog, that irritability, that need to eat again even when she just ate. And so she does. She eats again, something quick, something sugary, because her brain is trying to fix the crash. And just like that, she's trapped. Spike, crash, craving, repeat. This isn't lack of discipline. This is biology doing exactly what it's designed to do. But there's something even deeper happening, something silent. Every time there's a spike, a small amount of damage happens inside the body. A process called glycation begins, where excess sugar sticks to proteins, aging them, damaging them. Over time, this affects skin, hormones, organs, even how your body stores fat. Zara didn't know any of this. She only knew she felt tired, until one day, something small changed. She didn't start a diet. She didn't remove foods. She just changed the order. At lunch, she ate vegetables first, then protein, then carbs. Same plate, same food, different order. And something surprising happened. She didn't feel sleepy after eating. Her energy didn't crash. Her mind stayed clear. Inside her body, fiber from vegetables had created a kind of shield. So when carbs entered, glucose was released slowly. No spike, no crash. That one small shift started breaking the cycle. Zara began to notice something important. Two people could eat the same meal and feel completely different afterward. Even she could eat the same food on 2 different days and feel different. So she started experimenting, just like Jessie did. One day, she ate bread alone. Her energy spiked, then crashed. Another day, she ate the same bread, but with protein and fat. This time, no crash, same calories, same food, completely different response. That's when it became clear. Calories don't tell the whole story. Your body doesn't respond to calories. It responds to how fast glucose enters your blood. This changed everything. Then came breakfast. Zara realized her mornings were setting her up to fail. Every sweet breakfast started her day with a spike, which guaranteed a crash, which guaranteed cravings. So she changed it. Savory breakfast, protein, fat, real food, and suddenly her mornings felt stable. No crash at 11, no desperate hunger, because the first thing you eat doesn't just feed you, it sets the tone for your entire day. Then came something unexpected. Sugar. Zara always believed she had to quit it, remove it, avoid it completely. But the truth was different. You don't need to remove sugar. You need to change how you eat it. So instead of eating something sweet on an empty stomach, she had it after meals. And everything changed because when sugar is eaten after fiber and protein, its impact softens. Same dessert, different effect. Then she learned something shocking. Liquid sugar is the most dangerous of all. Fruit juices, smoothies, sugary drinks, even the healthy ones. Because without fiber, glucose hits your bloodstream instantly, creating the biggest spikes. Zara remembered all the times she thought she was being healthy, drinking juice. Now she didn't stop eating fruit. She just stopped drinking it. She ate a whole. Another small shift. Another big difference. Then she understood something deeper. Weight gain. It's not just about eating too much. Every glucose spike triggers insulin. And insulin doesn't just manage sugar. It tells your body to store fat. So if your body is constantly spiking, it's constantly storing, even if you're not overeating. That's why Zara struggled before. It wasn't about willpower. Her body was simply following instructions. Now, by reducing spikes, she changed the instructions. Her body slowly shifted out of storage mode. No force, no extreme dieting. Then came snacking. Zara used to eat small things all day, thinking it was healthy. But every snack created a new spike, never giving her body time to rest. Now she spaced her meals, let her body reset. Fewer spikes, more balance. Then came something almost too simple. After meals, she walked, just 10 minutes, not for fitness, for glucose. Her muscles started using the sugar immediately, reducing spikes. Then she added one more small habit. Before some meals, a little vinegar. It sounded strange, but it worked. It helped reduce the spike even further. Now everything was starting to connect. Food order, food combinations, timing, movement, small additions, none of it extreme. All of it powerful, and slowly, Zara stopped feeling like she was fighting herself. No constant cravings, no sudden crashes, no guilt, just stability. And the most important realization of all, she was never the problem. She just didn't understand the system. And once she did, everything became easier. Not perfect, not restricted, just better. And that's the quiet truth behind everything you've just heard. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need to follow every rule perfectly. Even one or two small changes can begin to shift your entire system. Maybe it's starting your meals with vegetables. Maybe it's walking after dinner. Maybe it's simply not drinking your sugar. You don't need perfection. You need awareness. Because the moment you start understanding your glucose, you stop fighting your body and start working with it. And when that happens, something beautiful begins. Your energy stabilizes. Your mind clears. Your habits become easier. And for the first time, it doesn't feel like a struggle anymore. It just feels natural. For a while, it felt like Zara had figured it out. Her energy was better. Her cravings were quieter. Her days felt lighter. Not perfect, but finally manageable. But something still puzzled her. There were days when she followed everything, ate in the right order, avoided sugar spikes, walked after meals, and still her body reacted differently. Same food, different day, different feeling. That's when she realized there was still something deeper to understand. So she went back to the experiments, back to what Jessie Inchauspé had done in her research. This time, she didn't just follow rules. She observed. She noticed that not all sugars behave the same way. There was glucose, which enters the bloodstream directly, and then there was fructose, a type of sugar found in fruits, honey, and many processed foods. Fructose doesn't go straight into the bloodstream. It goes to the liver, and when there's too much of it, the liver converts it into fat. Slowly, silently, Zara realized something uncomfortable. It wasn't just obvious junk food. Even healthy foods, when consumed the wrong way, could overload her system. This wasn't about labeling food as good or bad anymore. It was about understanding how different foods take different paths inside the body. And suddenly, everything became more nuanced. Then came another realization. Her mood. She always thought her mood swings were emotional, situational. But now she started noticing a pattern. On days when her glucose spiked, she felt more anxious, more irritable, more restless. And when her glucose stayed stable, she felt calm, clear, in control. It wasn't just physical, it was mental, because the brain depends heavily on glucose. And when glucose rises and crashes suddenly, the brain feels it immediately. That fog you feel sometimes, that sudden irritation for no reason, that anxious energy, it's not random. It's your brain reacting to instability. This changed the way Zara saw herself. She stopped blaming her emotions. She started understanding them. And with that understanding came a kind of peace. But there was one more thing, something subtle, something most people ignore, perfection. Zara noticed something about herself. On days when she tried to follow everything perfectly, she felt pressure. And on days when she relaxed a little, but stayed aware, she felt better. That's when she remembered something important from glucose revolution. You don't need to do everything. Even one small change can shift your entire system. This wasn't a strict rule book. It was a toolkit. Some days, she focused on food order. Other days, she just made sure not to drink sugar. Sometimes, she just walked after meals. And that was enough. Because the goal was never perfection. The goal was stability. And slowly, this stopped feeling like effort. It became rhythm, something natural, something sustainable. Zara no longer felt like she was fixing herself. She felt like she was finally understanding herself. And when you understand something, you don't fight it. You work with it. Now, if you step back for a moment and look at everything Zara has learned, it doesn't feel like a list. It feels like a shift in the way she lives. She started her journey thinking she needed more discipline, but what she really needed was clarity. She learned that her tiredness wasn't laziness. It was a crash. She learned that her cravings weren't weakness. They were signals. She learned that her mood swings weren't random. They were responses. And slowly, her habits changed, not because she forced them, but because they made sense. She began to eat her meals in a certain order, not because someone told her to, but because she felt the difference. She stopped drinking sugar, not because it was bad, but because she understood what it did to her. She walked after meals, not for fitness, but because she liked how steady it made her feel. She didn't remove sugar from her life. She just stopped letting it control her. And maybe that's the most important part of all. This was never about becoming strict, or perfect, or extreme. It was about becoming aware. Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. And once you understand your body, you stop being at war with it. Zara didn't become a different person. She just became someone who finally knew what was happening inside her. And that changed everything. So now, when you look at your own life, your own energy, your own cravings, you might start to notice it too, not as a problem, but as a pattern. And patterns can be changed, not with force, but with understanding. And maybe that's all you needed. Not another diet, not more discipline. Just this, a quieter way to live, a smarter way to eat, and a body that finally feels like it's on your side. If you ask Zara today what really changed for her, she wouldn't give you a strict list. She would pause, smile a little, and say, honestly, I just started understanding my body. But if she had to put it into words, this is what she would gently tell you. She learned that her tiredness was never random. It was her energy crashing after a glucose spike, not a lack of discipline. She understood that cravings are not weakness. They are signals, her body asking for quick energy after a sudden drop. She realized that not all foods behave the same inside the body. Two identical meals can create completely different effects depending on how and when you eat them. She discovered that the order of food quietly changes everything, starting with fiber, then protein, then carbs, can turn chaos into stability. She saw that her mornings were shaping her entire day. A sweet breakfast created a spike, but a savory one gave her calm, steady energy. She stopped fearing sugar and started understanding it. Eating it after meals instead of alone changed how her body reacted. She realized that liquid sugar was the real hidden problem. Juices and smoothies that felt healthy were actually causing the fastest spikes. She understood that her body stores fat based on hormones, not just calories. Frequent spikes meant frequent insulin, and insulin meant more fat storage. She noticed that constant snacking was keeping her stuck. Her body never got a chance to reset until she allowed space between meals. She experienced how small movement after eating can change everything. Just a short walk could bring her body back into balance. She learned that simple additions can make a difference, like adding protein or fat to carbs, or even something as small as vinegar before meals. She understood that her mood was deeply connected to her biology. Her anxiety, her irritation, her brain fog weren't just emotional, they were physical responses. And most importantly, she realized she didn't need to do everything perfectly, because even one small change started to shift everything. Zara didn't become strict. She became aware. And that awareness quietly changed the way she lived. So if you're listening to her now, she wouldn't tell you to change your entire life overnight. She would just say, start small, pay attention, and let your body show you the rest. Because everything you've learned so far is not a rule book. It's a new way of seeing yourself. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And now you see it, not as a problem, but as a pattern. All those days you felt tired, all those moments you blamed yourself, they weren't failures. They were signals. You just didn't know how to read them. But now you do. And that changes everything. Not overnight, not in some dramatic way, but quietly, powerfully, from the inside. Because from this point on, you won't just eat, you'll notice. You won't just feel tired, you'll understand why. And that small shift is where real control begins. So don't try to fix your whole life today. Just start with one thing, one better choice, one small awareness. That's how the cycle breaks. And if this made something click for you, don't just move on. Take a second, like the video, share it with someone who needs this, and subscribe. Because sometimes one simple idea can change the way you live forever. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.